Discover the inspiring journey of a brave girl who escaped a hidden evil and changed lives forever, in the small town of Maplewood, Ohio, where laughter danced through the air and the scent of home-cooked meals from Lily's mother's diner enveloped the streets. A fierce storm brewed beneath the surface. 12-year-old Lily Anderson was determined. Each day, she walked the worn path from school to the diner, her heart heavy with dreams bigger than the confines of their humble life. Raised by her single mother, she watched her struggle, pouring coffee and serving meals, always with a smile, despite the exhaustion that lingered in her eyes. For Lily, that was the backdrop of her existence, a place filled with love yet shadowed by the harsh reality of financial strain. At school, familiar faces turned into cruel masks. Classmates with their pristine clothes and shiny new gadgets mocked her, unaware of the strength it took for her to come to school each day. "You must be poor if your mom works at that old diner." They jeered, laughter echoing in the hallways like a haunting melody. The weight of their privilege felt like chains on her spirit, as she fought to hold her head high. The teasing stung, yet it ignited a spark of defiance within her. Lily craved a sense of justice, a desire to break free from the chains of inequality. One fateful afternoon, while sweeping the diner after hours, Lily overheard a group of wealthy classmates whispering secrets of deceit. A deal was being struck, a plan to exploit local businesses and amass unearned wealth. Her heart raced as she realized the magnitude of this hidden evil. Teetering between fear and determination, she felt the injustice claw at her insides. The revelation was like a lightning bolt awakening her dormant strength. If she didn't speak up, who would? But the fear of further ostracism gripped her tightly. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Fear morphed into resolve as Lily began to rally her peers, weaving a tapestry of alliance among those who felt similarly overlooked. She saw glimmers of hope in previously unseen faces, kids who shared their stories of struggle, their laughter echoing in her heart like music. Slowly, they became a team, united under a shared banner of change. As the town teetered on the brink of rebellion, a school assembly loomed where she would stand before everyone, her heart racing in anticipation. With each step toward the podium, she could feel the weight of doubt heavy in her chest. Yet, deep within, she knew this was a moment of truth. With wide eyes glued to her, her voice wavered but rose in power. "We can't ignore what's happening anymore." Gasps filled the auditorium, yet she pressed forward, unleashing the raw fire of her story, every painful memory melding into an anthem for justice. This was more than a plea, it was a call for unity against inequality, a reminder that their individual stories mattered. As silence enveloped the room, she could almost taste the fear and hope swirling together. Would her truth bridge the divide, or shatter their fragile facade? The answer hung in the air like tension, leaving Lily standing at the threshold of change, breathless and waiting, yet unwavering. Would they finally see her? The silence felt heavy, almost suffocating. Lily blinked, her pulse echoing in her ears, as she searched the sea of faces before her. Some looked confused, others intrigued, and a few bore the skeptical certainty of those who had always held power. Moments felt like hours, and with each heartbeat, her determination fought against the urge to flee the stage. Then, to her surprise, a hand shot up from the right side of the auditorium. It was Jamie, a girl she barely knew but had seen lurking quietly in the hallways. "Lily's right." Jamie's voice rang out. "We shouldn't let them get away with this. If we don't get together, it will only get worse." Lily felt a surge of hope wash over her. It was as if Jamie was the spark that ignited the kindling of collective bravery lying dormant in their hearts. A couple of others nodded, and murmurs started to ripple through the crowd. "I heard about that deal," a boy yelled from the back. "They're taking money from the corner store and capping our school funding." More voices joined in as a wave of understanding began to wash over the room. With every outburst, every rallying cry, they were weaving their stories together, stories long silenced. Lily's heart surged with exhilaration, and her voice became steadier. We can create change. We can stand together and protect our town. It's not just my fight, it's ours. We deserve better. It wasn't just the concerned whispers of their classmates, even a few teachers showed subtle support, nodding and leaning in. One even held back tears of pride, and in that moment, Lily felt invincible. This was more than a speech, it was a mass awakening. Whispers turned into cheers. Encouragement spread like wildflowers blooming rapidly in a sun-kissed meadow. They rallied, some stood up, clapping while others echoed her message. Together. Together. Became their battle cry, but not everyone was convinced. At the far end, a group of affluent kids exchanged skeptical glances. And then one, a boy named Ethan who often led the charge of cruelty, pushed through the throng, his face twisted in scorn. What do you expect us to do about that? You think you can change anything? Just because you got a sad story? Gasps filled the auditorium again. Doubt seeped in, and Lily's throat tightened as she froze. But then she saw Jamie looking at her, a spark of encouragement in her eyes. She exhaled deeply, recalling the resilience in her mother's tired smile, the struggle of all the families like hers. Yes. I believe we can change. Each one of us matters. You think you're strong because of your privilege, but it won't hold up unless we all stand together. A ripple of quiet surprise ran through the audience, the tension palpable. Like a dam ready to burst, emotions bubbled to the surface, shifting the mood in the room. Voices rose, joined by a sense of community. She had always dreamed of families connecting, friendships forming in the face of adversity. As the assembly erupted into a standing ovation, Lily stood at the podium, elation mingling with apprehension. It felt like a victory, yet the path ahead was still hazy. Would they truly unite against the injustice? What would happen next? And then it dawned on her, as excitement turned to determination. They could not fold their hands, not now. Together, they needed to take action to bring their voices to the town's leaders. One simple plan was forming in her mind, something bigger that could spark true change. But as she looked out at her peers, she couldn't shake a lingering question. Would they rally with her when the real battle began? The noise settled into a gentle buzz as Lily stepped down from the podium, her heart still racing. The applause echoed in her ears, a soothing balm against the anxiety surging through her veins. As she threaded her way back to Jamie, who was beaming with pride, Lily felt a flicker of hope. The atmosphere had shifted, but the real work was just beginning. Did you see their faces? Jamie gushed. We totally flipped the script. Lily smiled, though her thoughts raced ahead. Yeah, but Ethan, he's not going to just let this go. Let him try, Jamie replied, her tone defiant. We can't be silent anymore. Let us get a group together after school. We need a plan. The idea caught fire in Lily's mind, igniting a sense of purpose. You're right. They think they can push us down, but if we organize, the implications of those words spun out in front of them like a road waiting to be traveled. What if we gather ideas? Everyone's got something to say. Exactly. Jamie clapped her hands, her excitement contagious. Community meetings, flyers, social media, there are so many ways we can reach people. As they stepped into the hall, voices chattered all around them, a cacophony that once felt isolating now felt alive and electric. Their classmates passed by, some throwing nods while others whispered words of encouragement. It was a surreal transformation, a moment in time that would be etched in their memories forever, but lurking at the edges of that blissful moment was an unsettling uncertainty. Lily caught a glimpse of Ethan leaving the auditorium, surrounded by his group. She could see the whispers among them, the resentment bubbling just beneath the surface. They wouldn't just stand back, they would fight back. Let us not forget, Jamie said, following Lily's gaze. They may be scared, but they're still dangerous. With those words, the weight of their mission settled heavily on Lily's shoulders. Could she navigate this space where high school politics blended with genuine community strife? Anxiety threatened to shrink her resolve, but she pushed it down. She wouldn't allow fear to rule them. "Let us call a meeting for tomorrow," Lily said, her voice gaining strength. "We'll need everyone, teachers, parents, anyone who cares. We must show them we're serious." Jamie nodded in agreement. "And we need to prepare for any backlash. We need our facts straight, know their arguments." Together, their minds started spinning plans, the initial fire of the assembly kindling into a strategic flame. The thought of working together made Lily's spirits rise. This was their chance to speak out. As they parted ways after school, excitement filled the air. But in the quiet moments, doubt lingered. What if they didn't show? What if the fear of retribution kept their friends from stepping forward? The next day loomed ahead, filled with potential and uncertainty. They had to reach them all, every student, every teacher, every parent. They needed to connect on a personal level, show their peers that the fight wasn't just about them, but for everyone. And just as Lily began to feel a sense of purpose surging forward, a chilling dread crept into her thoughts. Would Ethan and his friends retaliate before they could even make their voices heard? The looming storm of confrontation hung over her, wrapping her in a shroud of uncertainty. At night, in the quiet of her room, she stared at the mirror. Who was she becoming? Could she lead when doubts gnawed at her heart? But she could remember the strength of the cheers, the faces lighting up in hope. Those memories forged a stronger resolve. They had to unite, but the moment she decided to act, a harsh reality hit her. Someone would have to confront Ethan and the privileged circle he commanded. Yet, who could bear the risks that came with such a bold act? Tomorrow would come with its own weight, and she had to find the courage to bear it. The following morning, the sun filtered through Lily's curtains, casting stripes of warm light across her room. She stretched, feeling the lingering weight of the day ahead pressing on her, but a flicker of determination sparked within her. Today was more than just another school day, it was a pivotal moment. She quickly dressed, her heart thumping in anticipation, and grabbed her notebook. Each page was filled with thoughts, ideas, and the collective voices of those who were ready to stand up. The hallway felt different as she walked towards school, not just a maze of lockers and murmurs, but a battleground for change. As she entered the building, she spotted Jamie at their usual meeting spot, surrounded by a group of students who looked equally energized. It was a relief to see them all gathered, an unspoken agreement binding them together in their shared mission. "Morning, everyone," Jamie called out, her voice breaking through the morning chatter. "We're here to take back our school. Who's in?" Lily felt a swell of pride as people raised their hands, nodding along. It was a small revolution, but powerful in its unity. They soon formed a circle, exchanging ideas passionately. Names were scribbled on a large sheet of paper, plans formed for a rally after school, and messages drafted for social media. Each voice contributed, each idea adding strength to their collective resolve. There was something about sharing fears and hopes that connected them on a deeper level. "All right, let us talk about Ethan," Lily interjected, a hint of seriousness clouding her excitement. The buzz faded, and anxious glances were shared among them. "We have to prepare for pushback. We know he's not going to let this go quietly." Jamie squared her shoulders. "We need volunteers to stand up to him. Someone needs to approach him and confront the situation head-on. We can't just wait for him to strike first." Lily's heart raced. The thought of facing Ethan was terrifying. He was intimidating, influential. But she knew that retreating now would only feed the cycle of silence they were trying to break. Suddenly, those cheers from the assembly echoed back to her, like an unwavering mantra. "I'll do it," she said, surprising even herself. The words hung in the air, heavy and resolute. "Are you sure?" Jamie asked, concern etched on her face. It could get really tense. "I can't ask anyone else to do this," Lily replied, determination fueling her words. "If I have to own this, I have to be the one who steps up." A murmur of support rippled through the group. They rallied around her, offering tips, sharing their own experiences of confronting bullies and doubts. Their camaraderie gave her strength. They were a force, and that feeling, the sense of belonging, made everything feel more manageable. As the bell rang, signaling the start of the first period, Lily felt a mix of dread and anticipation. There was no turning back. She was ready to confront Ethan, to face the whirlwind that was about to come crashing down on her. Classes drifted by, the lessons barely registering. Thoughts of her confrontation simmered in her mind. How would Ethan react? Would he laugh? Would he retaliate harder? After the last class, she stood at the entrance of the lunchroom, her heart a loud drumbeat in her chest. She could see Ethan across the room, surrounded by his group. They were a fortress, and she was an intruder. Drawing a deep breath, she squared her shoulders, the voices of her friends echoing in her thoughts, filling her with courage. She was here to change the narrative, driven by a purpose that began to feel unstoppable. Just as she stepped forward, ready to take on the impossible, a sharp voice pierced her bubble of determination. "What do you think you're doing, Lily?" Ethan turned toward her, a smirk on his face. The challenge in his eyes sent a thrill of fear mixed with adrenaline through her. This was at the moment where everything would unfold, but what she didn't expect was the ripple of support rising behind her, the collective force of her friends ready to stand with her. Lily's heart skipped a beat as she faced Ethan. The noise of the lunchroom faded into a dull hum, the walls closing in. But then she felt the warm presence of her friends behind her, a wall of support that strengthened her resolve. "Lily thinks it's time to speak up, Ethan," Jamie stated, stepping beside her. Her voice was firm, cutting through the tension like a knife. "What are you going to do, Lily? Write a poem about how I'm a bad guy?" Ethan laughed, his smirk wide, buoyed by the laughter of his followers. But Lily's determination hardened. "I'm not here to entertain you," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I'm here because we're done being silent." The room shifted slightly, the atmosphere electric. Students nearby turned their heads, eyes widening in surprise. For once, Lily could see doubt begin to flicker on Ethan's face. "Is that so?" He shot back, crossing his arms. "You really think you can change anything? Look around you. The world doesn't care what you say." "But we care," Lily countered, her heart pounding louder with each word. She remembered the people who had faced their own battles, who were tired of cowering, tired of accepting that cruelty was the norm. "And we're here for each other." She lifted her chin, her pulse racing as the crowd began to shift. There were murmurs of agreement now, soft but growing louder, bolstered by the bravery of what they saw happening before them. "You'll regret this, Lily," Ethan warned, his tone low and threatening. "Maybe," she replied. "But I'd rather regret standing up than regretting staying quiet." Feelings surged through her, a mix of fear and hope. Each word that spilled out felt like a door unlocking freedom waiting on the other side. The fight was no longer just about her, it was about everyone who had ever felt powerless. Jamie turned to the crowd. "Everyone who stands with us, raise your hand." Hands shot up, one after another, forming a powerful tapestry of solidarity. Cheering erupted, echoing through the lunchroom and transforming what had felt like an insurmountable challenge into a real possibility. Ethan's laughter faltered as he scanned the sea of hands, his confident facade beginning to crack. "You've got guts, I'll give you that," he muttered, but his bravado wavered. "Call it guts, call it hope," Lily said, searching for any flicker of fear in his eyes. "We're changing things here. You're not the boss of us anymore." Just then, the lunch lady intervened, eyeing the growing commotion. "What is going on here?" she barked, crossing her arms protectively over her apron, having witnessed the confrontation. "It's time for change," Jamie shouted into the din. "And we're not backing down." The lunch lady's expression morphed from confusion to realization. She glanced at Ethan before locking eyes with Lily. "I'll let you handle this, but I'm keeping watch," she warned, taking a step back. Suddenly, the cheers intensified around Lily, the weight of their voices rising against the looming presence of Ethan. Empowered, she felt lighter. Every cheer felt like adding wings to her heart. For a moment, everything felt suspended in time. She knew this was just the beginning. Ethan's face was a mix of irritation and uncertainty now. "You think this will change anything? Just wait till tomorrow." But instead of trepidation, Lily felt defiance spark inside her. "You can try, but we're not going anywhere. We'll be ready for you," she said, clear and unwavering. As Ethan turned and stormed off, a thrill of victory surged within her. She had stepped forward and fought back, and though she knew the battle wasn't over, she felt like she had already won. But lurking behind that victory was a lingering question: what would Ethan's next move be? With her heart still racing, Lily turned to her friends, their faces glowing with pride and determination. So what's next? The rally they planned was only the start. And she could feel the energy of what lay ahead, shaping their school into a new place for everyone. But as her friends shared ideas and future plans, one question weighed heavily on her mind: how far would Ethan go to reclaim his power? The bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, but the real battle was just beginning. As the bell faded, so did the exhilaration of victory. Lily felt a mix of pride and anxiety swirl inside her like a storm. Surrounded by her friends, she could still hear the echoes of their cheers, but now, the weight of uncertainty loomed. What was Ethan planning? Would he retaliate? "Let us meet after school, all right?" Jamie suggested, her face lit with determination. It was a call to arms. They all nodded in unison, a bond strengthened by their shared resolve. The rest of the day dragged on, every tick of the clock amplifying Lily's jitters. Each class felt like a countdown to the unknown. She focused on her lessons, but her mind raced with thoughts of strategy, of how they could ensure their voices didn't fade into silence. The weight of being a leader settled heavy on her shoulders, but she pushed through. After school, as they gathered in their usual spot near the bleachers, the tension was palpable. Faces full of hope and worry glanced around, awaiting Lily's direction. "Okay, everyone," she began, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. "We have to prepare for the rally. We need signs, chants, and most importantly, we need to stay united." The group erupted into excited chatter, bouncing ideas back and forth, each voice adding fuel to the fire they had ignited. Ideas flowed freely: colorful posters, slogans that demanded respect, even music that could turn their gathering into a celebration of courage. But somewhere in the excitement, a voice emerged that cut through the noise. "What if Ethan tries to stop us?" Alex, a quieter member of their group, asked, his brow furrowed with concern. The laughter faded into an uneasy silence. "He will try," Jamie replied, her voice steady. "But we need to show him that we're not afraid anymore. This is about more than just us, it's about everyone who feels scared to speak up." Lily felt a rush of gratitude for Jamie's confidence. They needed that. "We're making a statement. Even if he tries to intimidate us, we can't back down now. This is our chance to show that change is possible," she affirmed, her voice brightening with conviction. As plan solidified, an unexpected warmth spread through her. Together, they were transforming fear into unity, and hope danced like fireflies in the gathering dusk. They stayed later than usual, tuning out the cooling air around them, lost in a world of possibility, but just then, a familiar figure caught her eye: the back of Ethan, lingering just outside the school gates. His usual entourage was absent, but the look on his face was unreadable. Lily felt her stomach drop, a chill rushing through her. "Do you see him?" she whispered to Jamie, who turned her head sharply to follow Lily's gaze. "Maybe he's just trying to scare us," Jamie suggested, though her voice betrayed her own uncertainty. Lily felt the urge to confront him again, to challenge him before he launched his next move. But a voice in her head said to be smart, to focus on the rally and not get distracted. "We can't let him get in our heads," Lily finally said, shaking her fears aside. "Tomorrow is bigger than us. It's bigger than him." But the image of Ethan lingered. Was he plotting something, waiting for the right moment to strike? That gnawing feeling of dread returned as she organized her thoughts. They had to keep their eyes on the prize and prepare for whatever he would throw at them. With the night settling in and friends surrounding her, Lily felt a renewed sense of purpose. Change was easy, but together, they could face anything that as they wrapped up for the night. She reminded herself of one crucial truth: standing strong wasn't just about the shout of defiance, it was also about being ready for the silence that came after. What plan was Ethan devising in the darkness? In a rush of adrenaline, Lily knew that challenges lay ahead. Tomorrow would test them in ways they couldn't predict. Would they stand strong against the storm? The sun barely broke over the horizon as Lily woke up, a knot of excitement and anxiety tightening in her stomach. Today was the day. The rally would be the culmination of their hard work and their collective courage. She could almost feel the electric atmosphere buzzing around her, building with every moment. After a quick breakfast that tasted like cardboard, she gathered her things, taking one last look in the mirror. Her reflection showed a determined girl with fierce eyes that radiated hope. Today, she promised herself, today would be different. Arriving at school, she felt the weight of so many eyes on her, whispering voices that danced around the hallways. Some whispered words of encouragement, while others echoed caution, questioning their little rebellion. Lily pressed on, each step filled with purpose, the vibrant colors of their rally signs in her arms like shields against any negativity. As she entered their meeting spot by the bleachers, she saw her friends already bustling around, setting up their corner of the world. The air was thick with anticipation. Jamie and Alex were painting bright banners, their laughter cutting through the tension like sunlight. The sight filled Lily's heart with warmth. "Hey, guys! Looks amazing," she cheered, grinning at them. "Just wait until you see the chance." Jamie burst out, her eyes sparkling. "We're ready to make some noise." They huddled together, voices rising in unity, sharing every detail they had planned. Posters were squared away, and a portable speaker sat waiting for their playlist of anthems. Filled with determination, they practiced their chants, their voices rising like a tidal wave. For a moment, everything felt perfect, but then, almost as if summoned by the tension in the air, Ethan appeared again. This time, he didn't hang back. He walked into the heart of their group, flanked by a couple of his friends, faces twisted into expressions of disdain. "You really think this little rally will change anything? You're wasting your time," he sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. The moment felt surreal as their nerves twisted. Lily's heart raced. Would this be the moment he'd try to cut them down? She took a deep breath, preparing herself to confront him. This was her chance to show him they wouldn't be silent anymore. "Ethan, this isn't just about us," she started, trying to steady her voice despite the storm brewing inside. "This is for everyone who feels like their voice doesn't matter. We're standing up for change." His laugh was a sharp, disrespectful bark. "Change? You think you can rally people up like that? Look around, no one cares." But that was the moment everything shifted. Alex stepped up beside Lily, shoulders squared, eyes locked on Ethan. "You're wrong. We care. And we won't let you bully us into silence any longer." With that, something unexpected sparked in the crowd. Other students started to gather, drawn by their words. Eyes that had either dismissed them or shied away from confrontation now turned with interest, questioning the power of their unity. Lily felt her heart skip. What if this was the beginning of something bigger? What if their voices really could rally a movement? As the tension built, she noticed familiar faces behind Ethan, uncertain, hesitant, but undeniably intrigued. It struck her that even his followers were not entirely aligned with his bullying ways. But just as hope bubbled within her, Ethan smirked, his confidence unshaken. "Do whatever you want, but don't come crying to me when it all blows up in your face." With that, he turned and walked away, a challenge lingering in the air behind him. What did he know that they didn't? Confidence faltered momentarily, but as she looked back to her friends, determination surged anew. They wouldn't back down now. The rally was moments away, and the lingering fear was not going to win. With the crowd forming and the clock ticking, Lily stepped forward, heart racing. Let us show them what we're made of. But her heart raced with another realization: what would Ethan's next move be? As she prepared for the rally, she felt a new wave of uncertainty crash over her. Would their strength be enough to withstand the storm that was about to come? The moment arrived. The air vibrated with electricity as the crowd began to grow, students filtering in, curious and cautious. Lily could feel a powerful current tightening around her, a mix of anticipation and fear. This was it, this was their chance to be heard. Gather around. Jamie's voice rang out over the growing noise, drawing more students to their corner. We're going to make a statement today. Lily could see hesitant faces, but there were smiles to go along with them. As the last few minutes ticked away, a sense of unity surged over her. She squeezed Alex's hand, his grip steadying her. We've got this. Before she knew it, they were chanting in unison, their voices intertwining like a well-rehearsed song. Our voices matter. We won't back down. The words bounced off the bleachers, igniting a flicker of hope in the eyes of the onlookers. But just as their energy peaked, the dreaded sound of slamming lockers rang out a jagged break in their rhythm. Lily turned to see Ethan striding back toward them, a wicked grin plastered on his face. Behind him, his followers were visibly conflicted, glancing between him and the vibrant circle of students rallying for change. Look at this, Ethan called, his voice slick with mockery. A mass of nobodies thinking they can change the world. How cute. His laughter landed like a sour note, cutting through their chants. A few students shifted uneasily. Lily felt the bile rise in her throat. Doubt crept in, trying to claw its way to the forefront, but she pushed back. This was the moment that could break or make them. Ethan, why can't you see? She shouted, her voice suddenly louder than her own heartbeat. We're fighting for a cause, something bigger than the fear you try to whip up. We're done being afraid. The crowd seemed to react, heads nodding, voices murmuring agreement. It was as if a cold weight was lifting. Ethan's expression faltered for a second, and she saw a flicker of uncertainty pass through him. What makes you think anyone cares? He challenged, but the bravado in his voice wavered. Then, an unexpected voice chimed in from behind him: Nina, a student who had always stayed on the sidelines. I care. She shouted, stepping forward. We all care. We're tired of feeling silenced because of bullies. Lily couldn't believe it. Others were stepping up too, students she'd never seen speak against Ethan's influence. The walls that had kept them apart were crumbling, and the energy shifted. Suddenly, Ethan's bravado began to crack like glass. You don't know what you're doing. He barked, but the edge in his voice had dulled. A wave of determination surged through the group. They began chanting once again, with Nina leading them this time. We will be heard. We will be seen. With every repetition, each student added their voice to the collective roar. Joins me, felt like a throbbing pulse, pulling them closer together. Lily locked eyes with Jamie, who smiled widely, hope written across her face. But even as the chants crescendoed, a chilling thought struck Lily. Could they hold this momentum? Would Ethan and his gang retreat, or would they push back harder? As the energy peaked, Lily felt something shift in the atmosphere, a tension that hinted at a bigger storm brewing. The rally was gaining traction, but Ethan wasn't just a bully, he had something sinister planned. The moment felt monumental, but what awaited them next? Would their rally make a difference, or was this only the beginning of something far more dangerous? Lily squared her shoulders, preparing them for anything. A silent promise passed through her resolve: they were not backing down. But the real question lay ahead: how far would they have to go to truly be heard? The chanting grew louder, echoing through the corridors like a battle cry. But just as Lily felt invincible, a sudden hush fell over the crowd. Eyes widened, and heads turned as the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps approached. A handful of Ethan's followers were stepping forward, anger brewing in their eyes. They looked ready for a fight, not just words. Lily's heart raced, a deep thud pounding against her ribs. Was this the moment they would crumble under pressure? Ethan smirked, roaming the crowd like a predator surveying his territory. "See? Even your friends know this is pointless," he taunted, motioning toward the nervous faces of those who had once been too frightened to speak up. Just then, Jamie stepped forward, her determination carving a path through the panic. "You're wrong, Ethan. We've finally found our strength. This isn't just about us anymore." The fierce honesty in her voice echoed across the bleachers, striking a chord in others who were ready to step beyond fear. As Jamie spoke, more students joined the front line, those who had stayed silent for too long. Hands reached out to one another, fingers interlocking like a chain of courage. Lily felt herself being pulled into the energy surrounding them, a surge of warmth sweeping through the group. "And what do you have to show for it, Jamie? A pitiful chant that means nothing?" Ethan's voice dripped with condescension. But for the first time, it felt hollow. The doubt he usually radiated was being overshadowed. "Look around, Ethan," Nina yelled, her voice piercing through the tension. "We're not backing down. We've had enough of the fear you throw our way. Look at us united." Their voices melded as they began again, determined and strong. "We will be heard. We will be seen." This time, even some of Ethan's followers began to hesitate, doubts flickering across their faces. With a swift movement, Ethan clenched his jaw, anger radiating from him like a dark cloud. "You think you're heroes? I'll show you what it means to be afraid." He barked an order to his followers, and suddenly the air was thick with dread. A couple of them advanced, fists clenched, ready to push back against the united front. Lily held her breath. Was this the moment everything unraveled? Ethan had a reputation for being vicious. She glanced at Alex, whose face was set in grim determination, but behind his eyes, she caught a flash of fear. "Stay strong," Lily whispered, the urgency lending power to her words. She glanced at Jamie, who was raising her chin defiantly, glaring at Ethan. There was no way they could let this bully snuff out their newfound spirit. Just then, something unexpected happened. One of Ethan's followers stepped back, shaking his head. "This isn't right," he muttered, a hand rising to cover his eyes as if to block out Ethan's presence. With that, murmurs began to ripple through the group. The cracks in Ethan's foundation widened, and cracks of doubt emerged among his followers. Lily's heart raced. They were losing their grip. But in the midst of that realization, a new fear surfaced. What if they did manage to turn the tide against Ethan, but he retaliated in a way she couldn't foresee? It was a dangerous game they were playing. The energy surged again in the crowd, filled with hope and courage. "We are not afraid," Lily shouted, leading the charge. "Together, we can rise above." But as Ethan's laughter echoed, colder than ice, she sensed that trouble was just beginning. Would this stand against him empower their voices, or would it lead them into deeper conflict? In the pit of her stomach, uncertainty began to twist and turn. Her resolve hardened again, but dread lay just beneath the surface. They needed a plan, and soon. The stakes would escalate beyond what any of them could handle. Could they truly change things, or were they stepping into a trap? Lily could feel the heaviness of the moment. There was so much at risk. The moment hung in the air like a taut string, ready to snap. Lily's heart thundered as she tried to hold on to the collective strength that surrounded her. The energy was palpable, a magnetic force binding them together against the darkness that Ethan represented. "No more!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the tension like a bolt of lightning. "No more hiding, no more being afraid. We deserve respect. Together, we stand." With each word she spoke, the weight on her shoulders lightened just a bit more. She watched as some students stepped closer, conviction replacing doubt. There was something undeniably magical about this unity. They were ready to demand their worth as a community. Ethan's facade cracked. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in his golden eyes. He tried to recover, drawing breath for one last blow, but Jamie stepped closer, fists balled at her sides. "You're just scared we won't listen to you anymore," she challenged. "There's nothing left for you to threaten us with." That bold statement motivated the crowd. "No more." They echoed, a deep roar building amidst the fresh tide of courage. Lily's spirit soared as she started to see familiar faces among Ethan's followers, some of whom she'd never expected to support her. The power in numbers was overwhelming. In that intense moment, the lines between us and them began to blur. Ethan's followers were witnessing a whole new narrative unfold. "Come on, we're stronger than this." Lily led them, face toward Ethan, pushing deeper into the sea of solidarity they had forged together. She could feel a shift, like the tides turning in their favor. But Ethan wasn't ready to concede just yet. "You really think this is over?" he growled, his voice thick with anger. "You think you can challenge me without consequences? Let us find out," shouted a voice from the crowd. It was Nina, whose bravery rallied the students to heighten their chants once more. "We will be heard. We are not afraid." The tide of voices swelled, a collective heartbeat signaling a promise of change. But just as hope surged, a threatening sense of urgency clawed at Lily's gut. What would Ethan hatch next? In desperation and anger, with a sudden burst of adrenaline, Ethan lunged toward the gathered students, eyes wild, but his movement was trapped by a wall of determined figures. Tight-knit, they stood together, friends, allies, those who had once felt helpless now radiating defiance. Lily felt her pulse quicken. Was this it? Was this the moment where they would either secure their freedom or face the consequences together? "You are not alone," she bellowed, the sincerity and truth of her words radiating through the crowd. "Each voice matters, and together, we are more powerful than their lies." All around her, heads shook in agreement. Faces bright with newfound hope met her own. They were finished being shadows, and with their collective light, they brushed away fear. But the moment shifted again. Ethan cursed under his breath, desperation lashing at his pride. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Show us," Jamie challenged. The crowd roared back, "Show us." In that moment, Lily knew they had turned a corner. No longer were they hiding behind silence or shame. This rally was their declaration. It wasn't just about fighting Ethan anymore, it was a bold stand against everything he embodied. Suddenly, Ethan turned on his heel and stormed off, a raw mix of anger and confusion flickering across his features. In his wake, the room buzzed with energy. It felt incredible, intoxicating, exhilarating, as students began to break into small groups, sharing stories and ideas. As the tension lifted, the rally transformed into a heartfelt showcase of unity, tales of courage and resilience filling the air. Together, they could build something beautiful out of their collective struggle. Lily's heart swelled. "This is just the beginning," she shouted. "We'll keep fighting for what we believe. Together, we are unstoppable." Cheering erupted, a glorious wave pushing through the crowd, fueling the flames of their resolve. They were creating something new, and it felt like life itself. As dusk settled outside, those once whispered fears faded, leaving behind a community ready to lift each other higher. Hand in hand, Lily and her friends made their way home, brighter paths stretching ahead of them. Each step echoed with hope. The future was unwritten, but they were finally ready to write it together, and though the storm had passed for now, they knew Ethan would not remain idle. Yet, this time, it no longer felt impossible. Together, they could face anything. Be brave, Maplewood. The revolution had begun. Don't wait any longer to join this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, because we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's build this community together.